It appears that everyone was duped over the weekend by the likes of President Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu as Trump yet again pretended as though peace with Iran was on the horizon. Now, while Israelis had a collective meltdown over the threat of peace breaking out, Israel's Channel 14 notes that Benjamin Netanyahu and President Donald Trump were working together to fool everyone. There was really no genuine effort at a peace negotiation. We'll give you the details before, but before that, we're gonna hear from Jake.
Well, Anna, I might have been one of the ones who were duped.
You were, for sure.
Yeah, so I think the real question here is, were the negotiations entirely fake to begin with, or were they real and Israel then told Trump, no, remember the blackmail we have, you idiot, go back into the war, and Trump said, I'm so sorry, yes. Because what happened was absolutely clear. Netanyahu calls, war's back on. So let's try to find out why.
So this all kind of begins with, unsurprisingly, a aggregation of bullet points that Axios likes to refer to as articles or pieces, written by, of course, Barak Ravid. So it was titled, New Iran Peace Proposal Triggers Tense Trump-Netanyahu Call. This was published last week on Wednesday. In it, Ravid writes that a US source who was briefed on the call told him that Trump told Netanyahu that the mediators were working on a letter of intent that both the US and Iran would sign to formally end the war and launch a 30-day period of negotiations on issues like Iran's nuclear program and opening the Strait of Hormuz. Two Israeli sources said the two leaders were in disagreement about the way forward, while the US source briefed on the call said Bibi's hair was on fire after the call. I mean, just guys, more of the same. I mean, can anyone really trust anything published by Barak Ravid, who is in on the duping of the American people and Iran, by the way? Because as this was happening, the US and the Pentagon, of course, still building up military assets. Gee, I wonder why you would do that if peace is on the horizon, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Just real quick on that. We have 50,000 ground troops ready to go that almost no one talks about in the area. And the degree to which they're ready to go is unclear. Once they land, it'll be perfectly clear. But either way, what Ravid is reporting shows the strength of Israel. Either all of this is fake and Ravid is just helping them with their propaganda about how we have a split in the alliance and don't worry, Iran, you're not about to get bombed, as of course they got bombed. Or he's saying Netanyahu was mad at Trump, and then after the call, Trump did everything Netanyahu said. So thank you for proving to us, if Ravid is correct, then Netanyahu is the boss of Trump.
So then it turns out that Israeli media reported on what was really going on behind the scenes. And I trust Israeli media, they tend to tell the truth. And so Channel 14 reports that a gentleman by the name of Kobe Michael, a senior researcher at the Institute for National Security Studies and the Misgav Institute, spoke to Fox News and told them that Netanyahu and Trump leaked this story to basically dupe everyone, including the Iranians. Here's what he said. Again, Channel 14 in Israel. By leaking the story about an alleged serious crisis between them, meaning between Netanyahu and Trump over a potential peace deal, the Iranians may find themselves completely surprised by the timing of the next military strike. And wow, would you look at that? Same weekend that Trump claims that peace is on the horizon, the US strikes Iran, killing 4 Iranian soldiers. He continues to say the leak created a sense of disagreement between the two leaders and positioned Trump as the leader, giving diplomacy another chance despite heavy pressure from Netanyahu. Trump understands very well who the Iranians are. How many times are we gonna fall for the same BS? Someone explain that to me. How many times? This happened under Biden when it came to the Gaza ceasefire. Now it's happening with Trump when it comes to the Iran peace negotiations. How many times are Americans gonna be duped by the most vicious, evil people on the planet? And yes, I'm talking about Netanyahu and Trump. How many times? How many times are you gonna fall for Barak Ravid's phony reporting? And I'm not saying you as in the audience, I'm talking about the commentators, the journalists, all the people who buy it hook, line, and sinker over and over again.
So 2 things about that. So, Ravid does all these articles where he says Biden and Netanyahu disagree. And then Trump and Netanyahu disagree. And et cetera. But at the end of the day, Biden does everything that Israel asked for. And then Trump does everything Israel asked for. And Ravid never comes back and goes, oh, by the way, my reporting was comically false. Trump did exactly what Netanyahu wanted him to do. There is no rift at all. We are following exactly what Israel wants to a T. Because that's factual, that's true, right? Israel said, even if you take Ravid's reporting as factual this weekend, Israel says, oh, my hair's on fire because you're about to get to peace. I'm not allowing you to get to peace. We're gonna have more war. I'm gonna attack Lebanon. And by the way, Netanyahu did literally say this. He put out a video saying, we are not taking our foot off the gas pedal. We're putting it more on the gas pedal. We are complete war with Hezbollah, he said. So the war is not over. And what did we do? We followed suit. They bombed Lebanon, we bombed Iran, and the peace negotiations are obliterated. So we did exactly what Netanyahu wanted. That is an empirical fact. But Ravid and all the other reporters never come back and clarify, oh, by the way, the whole rift thing that I've been pushing for years and years and years is a preposterous lie. So no, whenever the American president is asked to do something by the Israeli leader, they get on their knees and do it immediately and exactly as Israel wants. Show me where Trump and Israel have diverged. I mean, you've been trying to prove it for years, right, Barack? Like, oh yeah, big fight, big fight. Then where's the policy difference? You can't find one. So go back to the IDF where you're from, go get better talking points. So here's a poll we're asking you guys. This is on TYT.com. Do you think the reported Trump-Netanyahu rift over Iran was actually fake and just trying to confuse Tehran? A, yes, B, no, C, hard to know what's true anymore. I empathize with you if you vote C. So I don't know if this particular story was made up or not, but the conclusion is the same either way. America follows Israel's orders completely. So apparently Trump is calling for unity after another violent incident. And of course, depending on where you get your news, that story gets framed in completely different ways. On the right, the angle is that Trump is a uniquely powerful figure who keeps getting targeted because he's so effective. On the left, the focus is on something much more uncomfortable for them to deal with. Trump's long relationship with violent rhetoric and the political climate that he's helped to create. Now, you just saw how easy it is to look at one story and immediately compare two completely different narratives. And that is exactly why I recommend Ground News. It's a website and app that pulls together reporting from across the political spectrum so you can compare headlines side by side, see the bias distribution of the coverage, check the factuality ratings of the sources, and even see who owns the outlets behind the reporting. Because once you start looking at coverage that way, it becomes a lot easier to see when the media isn't informing you, it's managing your perception. Ground News also has a blind spot feed, which highlights stories that one side of the political spectrum is barely covering at all, so you're not trapped inside the version of events your media bubble wants you to accept. Go to ground.news/TYT or scan the QR code and get 40% off the Ground News Vantage plan. It's a great deal.
I mean, the first sign for me personally that this whole peace negotiation was fake was that Trump claimed that, well, he said the Strait of Hormuz will be opened. And then everyone interpreted that as, oh, Iran is giving up control of the Strait of Hormuz. First of all, if that's your analysis, you're brain dead. You like literally don't know how to understand incentives, disincentives. Why would Iran give away their only real leverage when it comes to these peace negotiations? Why would Iran give up control of the Strait of Hormuz when that has been the biggest thorn in the West's side since starting this war against Iran in the first place?
Now they would if they got something substantial in return.
I don't think so.
No, hold on. But if they're not going to get anything in return, which is what Trump says every time there's like, where they say, oh, we got close to a deal, and then Trump comes out and goes, I will be controlling the Strait of Hormuz along with Iran. And Iran's like, what? No. You all have to sign the Abraham Accords where you betray the Palestinians and say they should be occupied forever. And I think Iran might sign it. And Iran's like, what is this lunatic talking about?
Yeah.
Like he just keeps rolling in hand grenades into the peace negotiations. Look, you could say, oh no, Trump is obsessed with war too, and he's an utter moron and loves to destroy our economy for a pointless war. Or you could say he's bought by Israel and Israel's destroying our economy on purpose for their own benefit. But it comes to the same conclusion, which is we're gonna get more war. And these reporters really, like, they're a national embarrassment. I'm not talking about Ben-Gvir, I'm talking about all of mainstream media. Because when we attacked Iran over the weekend, while we were pretending to be super close to a peace deal, almost all the reporters regurgitated what the Pentagon called it. In every article I read, those were self-defense strikes.
Right. How is it self-defense?
Well, did Iran attack us?
Hold on. No, can I just? They claim that they went after Iran over mine-laying boats. You know, the Strait is utilized by Iran's allies and Iran itself to transport oil and other goods, right? So someone explain to me how it makes any sense for Iran to lay mines in the very strait that they themselves are relying on to allow for the transit of goods, including oil and gas, liquefied natural gas, that they themselves benefit from financially.
Yeah, but Anna,
it's just so brain dead. There's just so much brain dead punditry and analysis.
So there's more to that. Like, so they could lay mines to prevent us from going and our allies from going through because we don't know where the mines are. But that's how you close the Strait of Hormuz. So that's what has been the case for months now. So for us to go, oh my God, they have closed the Strait of Hormuz, we just found out. So we have to do self-defense strikes. Wait, what? Okay, and let's say that you say about the boats, hey, you know what, you're laying mines, you could call it, I could interpret that as a a violation of the ceasefire, I'm gonna bomb your boats. Okay, but they bombed Iran, like on land. And they said, well, those are potential missile launchers, so we hit them. Well, then you're violating the ceasefire. The point of a ceasefire is you don't attack us and we don't attack you. What if Iran said, well, of course I bombed their aircraft carrier. It has all those missiles on it. And those missiles could have been used against us. No, we're in a ceasefire. That's why you don't bomb our aircraft carriers and we don't bomb your missile launchers on your land. And America goes, no, I get to violate the ceasefire. I get to bomb Iran whenever I want. And hey, moron reporters call it self-defense strikes. And every moron in media is like, self-defense strikes. And that's a trick we learned from the Israelis. When you're about to murder someone and take their land or attack and invade their country, you call it self-defense. So now we're doing it. And they're like, oh my God, it's working. All the reporters also work for Israel. So they're all calling it self-defense when Iran didn't attack us. We attacked them this weekend.
So why isn't Iran bombing Israel right now? That's a serious question, by the way. I genuinely want to understand. There is no ceasefire. If the US is gonna carry out strikes and kill 4 of your soldiers, why are you guys not bombing Israel right now? Curious.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.